The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly.
Oh, let's start out talking about diarrhea. Why not?
Great way to start the morning.
Right? Happy Friday.
People call it Friday for some reason.
Friday. It is for me. It's gonna be great if I can get everything done before I gotta leave.
The time is 10 a.m.
Whenever you guys are ready to go.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Tony, and I'm here with Genevieve. We invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a net radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. Genevieve, would you like to start us off this morning?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. This article is Evangel President Mike Rakes Suddenly Resigns, Aims to Build Private Venture by Joe Hadsel of the Springfield Daily Citizen. There is a picture of the entrance to Evangel University's Welcome Center, located near Glenstone Avenue and Division Street in Springfield. Evangel University's president tendered a sudden resignation on Thursday. The university's board of trustees announced that President Mike Rakes stepped down from the leadership position and accepted his resignation, according to a July 30th press release. Chief of Staff Michael Kolstad, a 35-year veteran of the university, will serve as the interim president while the board begins a search for Rakes' successor. Josh Bartoli, chair of the university's board of trustees, said in the release that the university is grateful for Rakes' service. The resignation appears immediate. We are grateful for his contributions to our students and the Evangel community, Bartoli said. As we move forward, the board remains committed to Evangel's Christ-centered mission and is confident in the university's future. We ask our community to join us in praying for Dr. Rakes and his family, as well as for Evangel during this time of transition. Evangel gives no reason for Rakes' resignation. Bartoli did not elaborate on the reasons for those prayer requests in the release. University presidents usually tender resignations months in advance of a final day in order to enable a smooth transition. On July 30th, when the Daily Citizen reached out for more details on Rakes' resignation, Evangel declined to answer. Evangel University nor the board have additional comments beyond the press release at this time, a university official said in the email. Rakes has been the president of the private Christian university for 5 years. Previously, he and his wife Darla were lead pastors of Winston-Salem First, an Assemblies of God church in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He graduated from Central Bible College and the Assemblies of God Theological Seminary, to which Evangel is affiliated. In the release, the university said that Rakes' season of leadership has come to a close. Rakes is quoted in the release stating his time as president was one of the greatest honors of my life. As Darla and I begin the next chapter of our lives, we do so with hearts overflowing with gratitude, Rakes said. We leave blessed because of the friendships we have formed and the privilege of walking this journey with you. In an open letter to the Evangel campus community that was separate from the university's press release and also shared on his personal Facebook page, Rakes elaborated on his resignation. This decision has not been driven by a single moment, but by the growing conviction over the past year that my season of leadership at Evangel was drawing to its natural conclusion, Rakes wrote in the letter. Leadership requires not only the courage to step into an assignment, but also the humility to recognize when the assignment has been fulfilled. In the letter, Rakes said he and his wife Darla will turn their focus on building a new venture, a business coaching enterprise called Pillar Stone. I'll coach C-suite executives through consequential decisions, strengthening their leadership and turning experience into enduring wisdom capital, Rakes wrote. Darla will speak at churches and conventions and work with women's empowerment initiatives, Rakes wrote. Record-breaking fundraising under Rakes reported layoffs. The campus has grown under his watch and achieved record-breaking fundraising. In 2025, it reported gifts of more than $117 million within a 4-year span. However, the campus has undergone significant restructuring and layoffs over the last few months. In March, the campus announced that its online college has been restructured to mesh with its other colleges, resulting in a handful of layoffs. A month later, the university cut 40 positions in an effort to save $10 million, according to a Springfield Business Journal report. Since that time, repeated emails from the Daily Citizen asking for confirmation of the reductions were not returned by Evangel officials. Evangel remains on a list maintained by the U.S. Department of Education for agencies on heightened cash monitoring, which requires additional oversight of cash management. Evangel is listed as a 501c3 nonprofit company and is obligated to file tax returns that are available for public viewing. According to the most recent return available, Evangel reported revenues of about $81.1 million and expenditures of about $71.3 million for the 2024 tax year, which ran from May 2024 to April 30th, 2025. In the letter to the Evangel community, Rake said the time had come to pass the university on to a new steward. Every generation becomes a steward of an institution it did not create and will not permanently possess, Rakes wrote. We inherit it from those who came before us, and we hand it to those who follow. That stewardship has always been sacred to me. Below is a letter written by Rakes. It says the title of it is Letter to the Evangel University Family. It is dated July 2026. Dear students, faculty, staff, alumni, trustees, donors, and friends, every meaningful journey has seasons. There is a season to begin, a season to build, a season to persevere, and, with equal wisdom, a season to pass the work into the hands of others. After much prayer, thoughtful reflection, and conversation with those closest to me, I have submitted my resignation as president of Evangel University, completing exactly 5 years of leadership. This decision has not been driven by a single moment, but by the growing conviction over the past year that my season of leadership at Evangel was drawing to its natural conclusion. Leadership requires not only the courage to step into an assignment, but also the humility to recognize when that assignment has been fulfilled. An old proverb says, "Awareness without action will lead to regret." That simple statement has influenced my life for decades. My own foundation has always been much simpler. I have tried to follow the leading of the Holy Spirit as faithfully as I knew how. Imperfectly, certainly, but sincerely. That conviction has guided every significant decision of my life, including this one. Serving as president of the Evangel University has been one of the greatest honors of my life. These years have stretched us, they have challenged us, they have refined us. They have also rewarded us in ways I could never have imagined. My daughter Whitney often reminds us even the smallest things done with great love can change the world in ways we could never expect. That has always been the mission of Evangel University. When Darla and I arrived, we inherited both extraordinary opportunities and significant challenges. Together, this community chose hope over fear, generosity over scarcity, and mission over comfort. Because thousands of people believed in something larger than themselves, God allowed us to experience remarkable momentum. Together, we celebrate 5 consecutive years of enrollment growth, reaching the highest enrollment in university history. Together, more than $100 million was invested in the future of Evangel. The letter continues on, and he continues to explain his reasoning before signing off. Mike Rakes, president of Evangel University. The article was written by Joe Hadsel.
And cyclosporiasis cases in Missouri are more than doubled to reach nearly 600 at this point. Ahmed Jawadi with the USA Today Network brings us this story through the Springfield News Leader that says nearly 600 cases of the foodborne parasite cyclosporiasis have been reported in the state, according to the latest update from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. The State Health Department reports 593 cases as of Sunday, July 26th, more than double the 216 cases that were reported a week prior. Thousands more cases of cyclosporiasis are pouring in across the country. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed nearly 7,000 cases nationwide as of July 28th, with more than 11,500 additional cases that have yet to be confirmed or require further investigation. There have been 423 hospitalizations and no deaths so far, with victims ranging in age from 1 to 98 years. The outbreak is part of a multi-state investigation linked to contaminated fresh produce, including iceberg lettuce. It is currently unconfirmed whether the cases in Missouri are linked to the nationwide outbreak. Cyclosporiasis is an intestinal illness caused by a microscopic parasite known as Cyclospora, according to the CDC. Infections can spread through the consumption of food or water contaminated with the parasite, though the illness is usually not life-threatening. Symptoms of cyclosporiasis usually begin about 1 week after exposure and may include watery diarrhea, which is the most common, loss of appetite, weight loss, cramping, bloating, increased gas, nausea, and fatigue. Anyone with the illness should stay hydrated, keep their electrolyte levels up, and get plenty of rest. Healthcare providers may also prescribe antibiotics. While the outbreak is ongoing, it is recommended to stay away from certain produce like fresh herbs, greens, and berries, and practice additional food safety. You don't have to swear off all produce, but you may want to follow these tips. Wash your hands with soap and water when handling raw fruits and vegetables. Wash all fruits and vegetables thoroughly under running water before eating, cutting, or cooking. Fruits and vegetables that are labeled pre-washed do not need to be washed again at home. Scrub firm fruits and vegetables such as melons and cucumbers with a clean produce brush. Remove any damaged or bruised areas on fruits and vegetables before preparing and eating. And refrigerate cut, peeled, or cooked fruits and vegetables as soon as possible. The article here ends with a map of confirmed cyclosporiasis cases according to the CDC. They have those numbers labeled anywhere from 1 to 49, 50 to 199, 200 to 499, 500 to 999, and then 1,000 to 4,000. It appears that Michigan tends to be the only one with the highest reported levels. We've got Ohio is in that next tier all by itself. Several states are in that 200 to 499 reporting range. Those include Illinois, Indiana, New York, and North Carolina. And then a number of us are currently in that 50 to 199 range, although this must be outdated because we know now that it's closer to 600. Looks like, well, it says between May 1st and July 27th, but that would be contradictory. Looks like there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 states in that range. And it looks like every single state except 4 have had some report. Looks like New Mexico, Wyoming, Maine, and South Carolina have not had any reports as of the creation of this map, however accurate it may be.
Zenith Climbing Center to relocate to the South Side by Jeff Pickle, digital editor for the Springfield Business Journal. Zenith Climbing Center LLC is building a new facility in preparation for moving to the South Side. Owners Audrey and Everett Pauls, who are married, and Jamie Strong, Audrey's sister, say a March 1st, 2027 opening date is targeted for the facility at 5601 South Robertson Avenue. We're moving from our current location to a location that we will own, Audrey said. Strong added, that is essentially the primary reason is we wanted to be our own landlord. The project includes breaking down existing climbing walls and relocating them to the Southside building. Butler Construction Management LLC is general contractor for the project, designed by architect Joffrey Butler and Everett. Strong said the cost is an estimated $2.5 million. Grading has been conducted on the site, Everett said. He said the building would span about 14,000 square feet. That's a better flow for our new space, Everett says, noting the current space is essentially one giant room. Zenith Climbing Center got its start in 2016 at 3534 East Sunshine Street, according to Springfield Business Journal archives.
The Salvation Army secures $2 million grant to expand some Springfield projects. Janice Reeser with the Springfield News Leader says that the Salvation Army of Springfield has secured a $2 million challenge grant from the J.E.&L.E. Maybe Foundation, bringing its Lives Transformed Capital campaign to about $15.8 million of its $20 million goal. The grant was awarded after the organization met the foundation's fundraising challenge requirement, according to a community announcement. The funding supports construction of a new Harbor House shelter, a customer choice food pantry and warehouse, and expansions to the Family Enrichment Center in Springfield. According to the announcement, the projects are intended to increase services for people experiencing homelessness, food insecurity, and other barriers to stability in Greene and Christian counties. Mike Gecky, executive director of the J.E. and L.E. Mabee Foundation, said in the announcement that the Challenge Grant was designed to encourage local investment in projects with long-term community impact. Quote, the Mabee Foundation's Challenge Grants are designed to encourage communities to invest in projects that will have a lasting impact, Gecky said in the announcement. The Salvation Army of Springfield and its supporters met that challenge through generous community support and a shared commitment to serving others. We're pleased to partner with them as they expand their capacity to provide hope, stability, and essential services to individuals and families throughout the region. The Lives Transformed campaign centers on a new Harbor House facility that will replace the organization's current 85-year-old shelter. According to the announcement, the replacement facility is planned to include 50 program beds, 10 respite beds, and 40 crisis cold weather beds. The shelter also is expected to include classroom and training space for recovery services, job readiness programs, and life skills education. Major Amos Shields, co-pastor and co-administrator of the Salvation Army of Springfield, said in the announcement that the grant represents more than a fundraising achievement. Quote, we are deeply grateful to the Mabee Foundation for their confidence in our mission and for inspiring our community to invest in lasting change, Shields said in the announcement. Completing this challenge and receiving the $2 million grant represents far more than a funding milestone. It represents renewed hope for the thousands of individuals and families who will benefit from these expanded services for years to come. The campaign also includes construction of a customer choice food pantry and warehouse intended to expand food distribution capacity, according to the announcement. Additional plans include expanding the Family Enrichment Center to serve more households through the Salvation Army's Pathway of Hope program, and investing in program support and strategic reserves designed to sustain services in the future. Campaign committee representatives Rob Dvorak and Nick Shepard credited donors, volunteers, foundations, and community partners for helping the project reach the Challenge Grant milestone. Quote, the completion of the Mabee Foundation Challenge is a testament to the generosity and commitment of our community, Dvorak and Shepard said in the announcement on behalf of the campaign committee. Donors, volunteers, foundations, and community partners came together around a shared vision of transforming lives. We are grateful for everyone who helped make this milestone possible. This story was created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. Journalists were involved in every step of the information gathering, review, editing, and publishing process. You can learn more about that at https://cm.usatoday.com/ethical-conduct.
Christian County Library Board kicks off youth policy revisions. An article by Marta Mies of the Springfield News Leader. The key points of this article are that the Christian County Library Board has approved new policies for relocating children's materials. Materials with sexually explicit content or mature themes may be moved to the adult collection, and these changes follow community concerns about materials some find inappropriate for young children. The Christian County Library Board of Trustees for years has fielded complaints about children's material that a group of local residents believes is inappropriate for young readers. The board, which has seen significant turnover within the last 5 years, is now taking steps to alter and add policies addressing those concerns. Since the board hired Executive Director Will Blydenberg a year ago, he, alongside members of the board, has been crafting policies geared at shielding children from material some residents think are too sexually explicit or deal with mature topics. On Tuesday, July 28th, the board approved a new policy regarding relocating the children's materials and a new version of its youth and the library policy. There is a picture of the Christian County Library Board of Trustees at a meeting on Tuesday, July 28th, 2026, at the Nixa Library Branch. They are sitting at a long table with name placards in front of them, as well as laptops and microphones to speak to the public. Behind them is an American flag, a large monitor with text displayed on it. that can't be read in the photo, and another flag, the flag of the state of Missouri. What do the policies say? The relocation policy spells out reasons why children's material may be moved to a different section. Under the new policy, popular materials that are in demand among readers but have explicit descriptions of sexual encounters will be cataloged directly into the adult collection, while materials with excessively strong language, offensive slurs, or derogatory terms will be moved into a higher age collection if that book demonstrates enough demand to warrant selection. The new policy also notes that materials with complex and/or mature themes may be placed in the adult collection, as they may benefit from context, support, and discussion with a parent or guardian. Examples include severe abuse, non-consensual acts, cruelty, and human trafficking. The policy references state law pertaining to materials viewed as obscene, and visual depictions of minors engaging in sexually explicit conduct, which would also make materials subject to relocation or permanent removal. Previously, CCL did not have an explicit policy for relocation, although relocation was a possible course of action in response to requests for reconsideration left up to the discretion of library staff. Blydenberg said the policy will establish an internal process to empower library staff to move books as they come across them. While revised, the youth and library policy is not changing much. This section still notes that parents and/or legal guardians are responsible for their children's activities in the library and the materials that they check out. The new version of the policy does note that staff are available as operations allow to offer assistance to parents, and it expands on the types of experiences the library offers to children. The revision does delete a portion of the previous policy that pertains to the library selecting materials, providing a broad range of viewpoints and subject matter, and the library's role in deciding access for individuals. This deletion is in line with the board's previous decision to disassociate from the American Library Association and delete its guidance language from CCL policies. While Trustee John Garrity has been involved in the creation of these policies, ahead of the vote July 28th, he indicated a desire to add more to the youth and library policy and said he views this version as an interim. Garrity referenced a previous draft of a new policy that was never noted on, but that came before the board last year, that included additional monitoring of materials and guidance for parents, staff training on identifying materials that may be inappropriate, and included full references to federal and state laws pertaining to libraries. Prior to these policies being discussed July 28th and at previous meetings, a group of community members had highlighted books that they argue are appropriate to have in sections designed for children or teens. They have said it is unfair to place the responsibility fully on parents who may not know what material the library has. The most extensive policy revisions the board has set out to tackle regard the collections policy for youth materials. This policy would create guidelines and rules for how materials are selected and added to the library's collection, which remains in the work. Some speakers at the July 28th meeting expressed gratitude for the changes and said the library is moving in the right direction, while others were critical and requests that requests for reconsideration were not being addressed quickly enough, and accused the library of failing to follow state guidelines regarding obscene material. Blydenberg asked for the community's trust in addressing their concerns and noted that he had gotten a lot done since being hired with the help of staff, taking steps to make it feel like Christian County again.
And we would like to say happy birthday to some celebrities celebrating today. First up, we have rapper Lil Uzi Vert is 31. Author J.K. Rowling of the Harry Potter universe is 61 today. Entrepreneur and investor Mark Cuban turns 68. Country singer Zach Brown is 48. Wesley Snipes turns 64 today. BJ Novak, best known as Ryan Howard from The Office, turns 47. Race car driver Kyle Larson turns 34. The lead singer of Avenged Sevenfold, Matt Shadows, turns 45 today. And Superman actor Dean Cain turns 60. Happy birthday to all the celebrities and to all of our local friends celebrating today. And in other local arts news, Springfield's Melody Room is transitioning to a nonprofit model to boost local arts support. Brian Smoot with the Springfield Daily Citizen brings us this article that begins with a photo of a band playing on a stage here. It appears to be Sam Timmerman playing the keyboard on stage, wearing a tan jacket and a gold chain and a black hat. Backwards, this event was put on by the Melody Room. Timmerman started putting on live, intimate music events to give unknown artists, like he once was, a place to perform. There is also a guitarist behind him and a drummer. Samuel Timmerman arrived in Springfield years ago with high hopes to take over Queen City stages with his band. Venue after venue rejected him, he said, and that's when the pianist decided to start his own music business without a venue. That notion birthed the Melody Room, which launched in 2022 and was just granted nonprofit status earlier this year. Timmerman said all the venue's rejections had one theme, that he was a no-name face in a city with lots of those. He decided that he would have to provide his own space, one where no names could become known names. I knew if I was getting turned around, who else was getting turned around, Timmerman said. I saw a need that needed to be met in my community. Timmerman started Melody Room to try to fill that need, and becoming a nonprofit will allow the company to better serve the Springfield community, the owner said. Melody Room serves as a platform for artists, musicians, bands, poets, and whatever else under the sun, Timmerman said. He added that the performers are compensated for their time, a practice that isn't very common in the industry in Springfield. Granted, Melody Room wasn't ever a specific room. It started out in Lightbox, a photography studio. Now the company calls many places home, including the venue on Sunset, previously known as the Riff, and soon enough, Gillios Theater and the historic Fox Theater too. The company has hosted shows of all varieties, like open mics, poetry slams, and concerts featuring all kinds of genres, according to previous Daily Citizen reporting. Around the beginning of the year, Timmerman started the process of turning the Melody Room into a nonprofit, which was granted in May. With the change, the venue-less music company has officially become Melody Room of Springfield. It took me a good 6 months building the infrastructure and trying to go about who I would choose for the executive board, Timmerman said. Now, Timmerman said, is when the real expansion begins. Leadership is made up of Timmerman as the executive director and a board chaired by Francine Pratt, the organization's contact with the community partners of the Ozarks. Other board members include Cora Scott, Gaby Edmonds, Jesse Cowan, Brecca Henderson, and Daniel Oganyemi. Following is a photo of Sam Timmerman again here as he jams out on the keyboard in a light gray button-up shirt and a darker gray suit jacket. He is across from a window that's got a stained glass inset. Looks very interesting. As a nonprofit, Melody Room will continue to expand its event repertoire. Classics like the free to the public open mics will continue at the Sunshine Event Center, but there will be additional events. Timmerman hopes to start hosting youth open mics in October. The Safe Haven concerts are another flagship event that the Melody Room will continue hosting. The concerts are hosted in partnership with community partners of the Ozarks as part of an ongoing gun safety and violence reduction initiative, according to a company press release. The events, which occur quarterly, are meant to shine a light on gun violence and reduce gun-related crimes. It's a space for performers to share their original music. Gospel and worship experiences will also be hosted by Melody Room. Timmerman, the son of pastors, cited his parents as an inspiration for those events. Outside of venues, the organization will host back-to-school drives, arts and music education initiatives, and community collaborations, outreach programs, and more, according to an emailed release this month. A podcast is also in the works to extend the reach of the nonprofit. Next year is set to be a big one for Melody Room. Melody Room's first music festival is set to take place in 2027, Timmerman said. And some upcoming Melody Room events starting August 1st, 15th, and 29th. They have the Rooftop R&B Summer Series at Sunshine Event Center. I've been to that. It's a lot of fun. August 20th, they have the Back to School R&B Night for MSU students. August 22nd, a Nothing But R&B series at the venue on Sunset, formerly known as the Riff. August 27th, Therapy Thursday, Rooftop Open Mic Experience at Sunshine Event Center. Haven't been to that one specifically, but their open mics are a lot of fun as well. And then September 4th, Labor Day weekend, Nothing But R&B All White Affair event. And finally, October 16th, November 20th, and December 18th, they have the Wine and Jazz series at the Gallery at the Gilios, featuring Laura French.
A Springfield marijuana dispensary has ratified its first contract with union employees. An article by Jeff Kessinger of the Springfield Daily Citizen. There is a photo of a dispensary called Key Cannabis. You can see its storefront. It appears to be like a brick building with blacked out windows. Employees at Springfield's Key Cannabis Dispensary have ratified a first collective bargaining agreement, according to a press release from the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 2. It is believed to be the second union contract ratified by cannabis workers in Missouri. For the first time in Springfield, unionized employees at a cannabis dispensary are working with a ratified collective bargaining contract in place. The United Food and Commercial Workers Local 2 has announced the ratification of the first collective bargaining agreement at Key Cannabis Dispensary in Springfield, according to a July 30th press release. Key marks the second dispensary in the entire state with an active collective bargaining contract with unionized employees. Workers at Key in Springfield, located at 751 South Glenstone Avenue, voted to unionize 3 years ago and have been negotiating since, according to the release. The newly ratified contract secures wage increases and bonuses for dispensary workers, with an additional wage increase upon the first anniversary of the contract. It also includes new bonus and incentive programs for workers, along with additional paid time off, sick time off, and paid bereavement leave. We have been fighting for our first contract for a long time, Sally Powell, a retail associate at Key, said in the media release. This contract secures wage increases and bonuses that we all deserve. It also prints additional protections we didn't have before, like stability in scheduling and very strong non-discrimination guarantees. I am so proud of our resilience, and I hope our win shows cannabis workers across Missouri that when we stand together, there's nothing we can't do. With our union, we have the comfort and security of not being at-will employees. And with this contract, we've made our voices heard and negotiated the benefits we need to thrive on the job. This is the second union contract ratified by cannabis workers in Missouri. High-profile cannabis dispensary workers in Columbia unanimously ratified their contract earlier in July, according to a report from the Missouri Independent. Key has about 14 dispensaries throughout Missouri, with stores in Arizona and Illinois as well. The company operates one dispensary in Springfield and one in Nixa. We commend Key Cannabis dispensary workers for all their hard work, dedication, and commitment through their solidarity by first unionizing and now obtaining a first contract. Chad Price, UFCW Local 2's Director of Collective Bargaining and Retail Servicing, said in the release. We want to welcome them to our union family. Together, we will continue building contracts that improve lives and strengthen our workplace for years to come.
We are currently broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store situated at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. For additional information about our store, please visit our official website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. To explore more of our video content, including movie reviews with Matt and Meredith, adaptive technology training videos, and other informative material, please visit our YouTube channel by searching for Blind Community Thrift Store. Our organization is dedicated to supporting the blind community through various initiatives, and our online platforms serve as valuable resources for community engagement and education. Speaking of online, Missouri school safety leaders learn about AI and other threats at Ozark Academy. Joe Hadsall from the Springfield Daily Citizen brings us this article that begins with a photo of Mark Masadi, who is the Director of Safety and Security for Pattonville R3 School District, as he looks through training materials this week at the School Safety Specialist Academy. He is standing in front of a conference room at a table that is just absolutely chock full of flyers and handouts and informative materials. Of all the threats that school police officers monitor, add artificial intelligence to the list. We've had people create AI bots that sound like a principal to send emergency messages or make inappropriate statements that cause concern in the community, said John McDonald of the Missouri School Boards Association, or the MSBA. We've had threats from potential attackers using AI to create fake images, deep fakes to put out threats. Our law enforcement is struggling to keep up with that technology, so it's important that we talk about it today. About 125 school resource officers and administrators from across the state attended School Safety Specialist Academy, a 3-day session in Ozark hosted by the MSBA's Center for Education Safety. In addition to the session about keeping students safe in an AI world, topics ran the gamut, from creating a safe climate and culture to developing plans for emergency operations. McDonald is the Chief Operating Officer for the MSBA's Center for Education Safety. It was created about 20 years ago after the state of Missouri stopped funding school safety training, McDonald said. The center runs 5 of these academies a year, he said. The police officers and educators who attend learn about developing a positive climate and culture, encouraging kids to report concerns, preparing emergency plans, and run lockdown drills for active shooters. Sessions are led by experts in the field. Following is a photo of Michelle Cruz of the Missouri School Boards Association as she announces a break between sessions on Thursday in Ozark. The training is important because of hazards in the school environment. McDonald said many schools have been hit by tornadoes over the last 2 years, and school shootings are increasing. There is no higher honor, no greater responsibility than protecting those who cannot protect themselves, McDonald said. We need to create that foundational school safety because we know when a kid feels safe, they become a better learner, they have better attendance, higher test scores, better graduation rates. Information from the sessions help officers stay current about trends and threats. Stephen Wilbur, a school police officer with Nixa Schools, said the session about AI was particularly informative to him. We're all aware of how students use AI for tests, homework, and things like that, Wilbur said. I think the part that stood out to me the most was the companionship portion of it. Kids and some adults are turning to AI as like a confidant or somebody they can talk to as a kind of outlet. Officers from as far away as St. Charles and Potosi attended this week's session. While differences between small and large districts call for police to act differently, officers found commonality with each other. A lot of it is about the physical security of our buildings, said Mark Masudi of the Pattonville R3 School District. One of the commonalities is that we are all trying to get our buildings secure to comply with national standards now. The Academy helps school police officers and other school officials to be compliant with the terms of Senate Bill 68, a law passed in 2025 that established comprehensive school safety mandates.
This is an Answer Man article. What was the building on Main Avenue used for before it became the Hotel of Terror? An article by Steve Pokin of the Springfield Daily Citizen. There is a picture of the Hotel of Terror on Main and Mill. It is a white building that has blood painted on it, dripping from all the windows, as well as a blood red staircase with Hotel of Terror across the front of it. It looks fairly run down, and all of the doors are boarded up as well as the windows. Answer Man. The building on Main that will be demolished was not always the Hotel of Terror. What was it before? I understand that area was very different when the Frisco Railroad Depot was nearby. This question was asked by Lonnie Boulding of Logan. This October will be the final season of Fright for the Hotel of Terror located at 334 North Main Avenue. In May, the city reached an agreement with the owner, Sterling Mathis, to buy the property for about $2 million. The building must be demolished so the Main Avenue Bridge can be replaced, according to the city. The bridge is classified as structurally deficient and is in serious condition. There is a photo of the Jordan Creek area where the city is working on constructing and remodeling the Jordan Creek initiative. You can see some construction going on in the background as they are reshaping the land. And their Jordan Creek River is now flowing through that area. And it looks like they've landscaped it with walking paths and trees. And it is along the railroad near downtown. And the Hotel of Terror building is to the right of this. The Hotel of Terror has been a family fright business for 48 years. At 2 different times, the building, constructed in 1915, has been a hotel, profiting from what was once a prime location across Main Avenue from the Frisco Railroad Department. A plan to make it into an aged men's home for men on pensions with no alcohol allowed fell through in 1965. The train depot had originally opened in 1927, but fell victim to neglect. In 1901, Frisco closed its commercial street depot and instead used the depot at Main and Mill, across the street from the Hotel of Terror building. In 1926, Frisco razed the existing depot and opened what many consider an architectural gem. A March 1927 issue of the Frisco Employee magazine described it this way: spread spaciously over 13,550 square feet of ground, a beautiful Spanish mission style of modern railroad station, with porte coquere front and back, and snow-white stucco gleaming in the Missouri sunlight. Mathis tells me people would come from all over to the train depot and stay at the hotel. This was back in the horse and buggy days. There is another picture of the Jordan Creek beautification project where they are doing construction. All of this is taking place behind the Hotel of Terror. You can see that they are landscaping the ground with some tractors and other construction equipment. And you can also see the bridge that they are remodeling that the Jordan Valley Creek runs through. The last train left the depot in December of 1967, and the depot remained vacant and fell into disrepair. The railroad tore down the once magnificent structure on March 5th, 1977. Many local preservationists consider it the city's greatest failure in preserving its history. The first hotel, as far as I can tell, by tracking newspaper archives, was called the Plaza Hotel. The first mention of it I found was in 1930. It was for sale according to a newspaper ad in 1932. In 1936, it was still the Plaza Hotel, but by 1940, it had become the Texas Hotel. At one time, there was a bar next door, and the building propped up over the culvert. The Texas Hotel was sold in May 1947, according to a news story in the Springfield News Leader. Mr. and Miss O.L. Gray here have sold the Hotel Texas at 406 North Main Street to Glenn Cope and Miss Theresa Parks for $11,000. Over the years, the same building was assigned a new address, which often happens over decades. It went from 406 North Main to the current 334 North Main Avenue. At one point, there was a building immediately to the south that was a bar called The Depot, according to John Sellers, Deputy Answerman and Executive Director Emeritus of the History Museum on the Square. There is another photo that is a close-up of the Hotel of Terror sign, and you can see the boarded up windows that have red blood painted on them that are dripping from them. Pillars and the U-shaped metal hooks can still be seen in the culvert. It's what remains of the infrastructure that propped the bar up over the Jordan Creek culvert. In 2016, I wrote an Answerman column about the location where the bar was. I was at the News Leader at that time. It almost became a residence home for older men on pensions. The Texas Hotel was sold in 1957. The building was purchased by Harold T. Lincoln Jr. and Jerome C. Handley from Miss Georgia A. McLaughlin for about $16,000. It was scheduled to be sold again for $30,000 to $40,000 in 1965 to Calvary Mission, Inc., under the direction of Reverend Earl McFarland. The 24 rooms on the top 2 floors of the 3-story building would be used to house what was described as old age pensioners, men only. An ad in the paper said no alcohol would be allowed in the building. There is a picture of a spray painted mural on one of the doors of the Hotel of Terror. It appears to be a farm home with some very spooky imagery coming out of the top of it. But a month later, the sale fell through due to lack of funds. Ronald Durr, a Springfield contractor who died in 2023, bought the building in 1986. His daughter Melissa Harmon tells me that the building had not been used as a hotel for many years when her parents bought it. Nevertheless, she says, people still refer to it as a Texas Hotel building. She recalls that her mom had a business on first floor. Harmon remembers that her mother had an office on the first floor. Her business was placing people in jobs. Her dad used much of the space as storage for his contracting business. The rooms on the second and third floor were never leased or rented while her family owned the building, she says. Her father sold the building to Johnny Mathis, the father of Sterling Mathis, in 1995, according to public records. Harmon tells me that the Mathis family was paying on a lease-to-own schedule, and there was agreement that it could host the Hotel of Terror in October, even before the sale was final.
And a Springfield man badly burned in a Sparta bonfire in April has died. Steve Pokin brings us this story from the Springfield Daily Citizen that begins with a photo of Gabe McDaniel and Aubrey Dye, who were seriously injured in a bonfire incident back on April 19th. Gabriel Joseph McDaniel, one of the people who were seriously burned at a bonfire in Sparta in April, died by suicide on Monday, July 27th. He was 27. Thousands throughout the Ozarks for months have offered prayers and encouragement as they tracked McDaniel's recovery, as well as that of Aubrey Louise Dye, who was also seriously burned at the same bonfire. McDaniel and Dye had been dating. Thousands of people followed the couple's recuperation through Facebook posts by Ozarks Refuse, a trash service company where McDaniel worked. McDaniel had returned to work at Ozarks Refuse part-time earlier this month, according to an Ozarks Refuse Facebook post. On July 28th, the company announced McDaniel had died, stating, quote, "Yesterday, we lost a very valuable crew member and a very dear friend. Gabe McDaniel passed away at the age of 27. Many of you know Gabe had just come back to work part-time after recovering from severe burns he sustained outside of work. He was thrilled to be back working and was feeling so much better physically. Gabe was a good guy, a great trash man, and a veteran of the United States Army. He will be missed." The authors of this article want you to understand that this is a story about a young man who died by suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by dialing or texting 988. Burrow Behavioral Health's 24-hour crisis line is available at 1-800-494-7355. A Springfield police incident report dated July 27th states officers went to the Springfield residence where McDaniel lived in response to a suicide on Monday afternoon. McDaniel and Dye were burned at a private bonfire in the early morning hours of April 19th when someone poured gasoline on the blaze. Dye sustained life-threatening injuries but survived. In May, Christian County prosecutors charged via grand jury Ian T. Letterman, born in 1995, with assault in the second degree, a Class D felony punishable by up to 7 years in prison or up to a $10,000 fine, or both. Letterman was released on July 7th on his own recognizance, meaning he did not have to post a bond. His next court date is August 25th. There is a photo here from the Christian County Jail taken of Ian Letterman. He is standing in front of some white mini blinds wearing a white and orange striped jail uniform here. And his eyes are looking very red, although he looks surprisingly cheerful. Dye suffered more serious burns than McDaniel. The company posted a photo of her on July 21st with information that the post said came from Dye's sister. Quote, 10 surgeries, 65 days in the hospital, 28 days in physical rehab, 93 days since she has been home, but tomorrow Aubrey comes home. Another milestone up this huge mountain she has faced to climb. Please pray and send good vibes for her mental health. Please pray for all of those affected by another transition. We love you and are proud of you, sister. Dye and McDaniel were injured between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. in the 400 block of Sundance Drive in Sparta, which is where Letterman lives in Christian County. There were 4 or 5 people at the bonfire when people were burned, according to Jarrett Matheny, chief of the Ozark Fire Protection District, who was interviewed by the Springfield Daily Citizen in April. There was a group of friends at a bonfire and someone poured gasoline on it, he said. As a result of the injuries, the company also set up a GoFundMe account for them with the goal of $40,000. That post said, quote, this young couple is full of joy and positivity. Both have smiles and attitudes that could light up a room. They started dating nearly a year ago and have been inseparable since. Both love camping and spending time outdoors, so they couldn't wait for spring and summer to arrive so they could enjoy each other's company while hiking and camping around the Missouri Ozarks. Gabe is a trash collector in Springfield, Missouri. Customers on his trash route constantly email and call his bosses, complimenting his friendly nature and hard work ethic. The GoFundMe post said that Aubrey works with adults with cerebral palsy. McDaniel needed skin grafts on his arms and legs, according to an April 21st Facebook post by the company that said, quote, we just got word from our employee Gabe that he is out of surgery. He is in a lot of pain after the skin grafts to his hands and legs, but he is staying positive and wanted to give a big thumbs up to everyone. The Springfield Daily Citizen reached out to Dye for comment for this story, and a woman who answered the phone said Dye wanted to maintain her privacy and declined to comment on Dye's behalf. The Citizen also made an attempt to reach McDaniel's father for comment on his son's life. There was no response. The owner of Ozarks Refuse did not respond to a request for comment. On May 5th, Dye's lawyer filed a verified petition to perpetuate testimony before action. The document indicates Dye plans to pursue a personal injury civil lawsuit, and her attorney wants to depose witnesses while memories are fresh. The petition alleges that Letterman, quote, poured gasoline onto an active fire, causing a sudden flare-up and serious bodily injuries. And I just want to reiterate one more time the note that they made earlier in this article. This story is about a young man who died by suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by dialing or texting 988. Burrell Behavioral Health's 24-hour crisis line is also available at 1-800-494-7355.
The airport's reclaimed wood gallery, Airport, finds new home in downtown Springfield, an article by Joe Hadsel of the Springfield Daily Citizen. There is an image of Carissa Carey, the owner of the Ozarks Farm Stop, on July 16th, as she looks at constructing the art port that is under construction. She appears to be holding her phone and giving clear directions to the men around her about setting up the new art port. Carissa Carey in June picked up an incredibly large surprise package from the airport. Carey and other volunteers, including a team of demolition experts, spent a long day dismantling a large gallery into stacks upon stacks of wood, with the idea of rebuilding the gallery downtown. Artport, the student-constructed gallery that once greeted travelers between two baggage carousels at the Springfield Branson National Airport, has a new home downtown. The gallery is getting rebuilt inside Ozarks Farm Stop, located at the corner of Walnut Street and South Avenue. Once it is finished, it will highlight assorted exhibits as part of First Friday's events. "It sort of dropped into our lap," said Carey, director at Ozarks Farm Stop. "There had been a couple of places secured, but then those fell apart. When I heard that they were looking for a new home and were under the gun time-wise, we came out, measured, and looked at the specs. We thought that it could be part of our art walk experience." Carey and other farmers involved with Ozarks Farm Stop are now working hard to rebuild the gallery. Once completed, it will be used to display exhibits and more from area nonprofits. "It will be a perfect fit," Carey said, both literally and figuratively. Ozarks Farm Stop has plenty of unused space inside, and the idea of rebuilding a structure made of reclaimed barnwood is in line with the business's mission. "If a farm stop is anything, it's community forward," Carey said. "It's vision driven, but it is also about economic empowerment of small businesses and local healthy food. It ties in as a community gathering space, especially when we can celebrate the great work of a lot of nonprofits and groups of artisans." There is a picture of the Artport when it was still located at the Springfield Branson National Airport between the two baggage carousels. It is cube-like in structure and made of planks of wood. While at the airport, Artport hosted exhibits organized by the Springfield Regional Arts Council, Springfield Public Schools, and more. It was built in 2009 by architecture students at Drury University. Tracy Scooter, the student's professor, said in March that they knew it was intended to be a temporary structure. It was created on Drury's campus to be portable. It is comprised of 8-foot panels that were made at Drury, then delivered on a 16-foot trailer to the airport for reassembly. The wood comes from a 100-year-old barn house that was falling into disrepair. It measures about 35 feet long, 17 feet wide, and 10 feet high. The rebuilding comes at the perfect time. Because of floor replacement and expansion plans at the airport, the gallery's days were numbered. The airport has been working on replacing its floors. The original plan called for simply moving Artport, then replacing it once the floor was done. But underneath was the infrastructure for a possible third baggage carousel, so the decision for demolition was made. The airport delayed the demolition as long as it could, as its creators worked on relocation. Ren Lubering, marketing and communications coordinator for the airport, said that after a few failed attempts for finding a new home, its imminent destruction was close. "I would say we were down to days, not weeks," Lubering said. "We were at a point that with the part of the project as far as the phasing goes, where we needed to address the carpet. The only way we could start on the next phase, which was the section under the baggage carousel, was that the Artport had to come down." There is a photo of volunteers from the Ozark Farm Stop disassembling the Artport. There are planks of wood lying around everywhere as they go about planning on how to disassemble and reassemble the Artport. The dismantling project was significant, requiring more than 125 man-hours to complete. Lubering said the workers at Nebols Construction assisted with disassembly and loading up the pieces onto trailers that Ozark Farm Stop volunteers drove. Carey expressed tremendous gratitude for the Nebols team. At first, it appeared that volunteers would have to dismantle the gallery completely on their own. With the Nebols team's help, she was able to get pictures taken and other details recorded for reassembly. Moving the gallery took anywhere from 12 to 14 hours, Carey said. A contractor and volunteer workers had have been working since June to rebuild the gallery. Without schematics, because none of the original building documents were available, the videos and notes taken during disassembly were invaluable instructions. "We're putting Humpty Dumpty back together again," Carrie said. We labeled things, we numbered things, but there were no attainable blueprints or schematics. Carrie said construction is moving at a measured pace. It is hoped to be presentable for August's first Friday next week, and a full completion done in time for September's event. "There will be a couple of phases," Carrie said. "The goal is in August to have a beginning showcase for the Route 66 festival. It won't be done. We need to rework and recondition a little bit of the wood, and we'll be using the storage slightly differently."
And several obituaries to announce this week. First up, we have David Jack Clark, age 76, of Cumming, Georgia, who passed away peacefully on July 16th, 2026, surrounded by his family. Born in Springfield, Missouri to Jack and Betty Clark, he will have interment with military honors that will take place at the Missouri Veterans Cemetery here in Springfield. Gregory Bray, age 58, passed away July 23rd, 2026. Arrangements are being provided by Nelson Berna Funeral Home in Rogers, and those services were held on July 27th. Michael Robnett, age 56, passed away July 22nd, 2026. Arrangements are being provided by Green Lawn Funeral Home North, and those services are being held today, July 31st, at 5 p.m. at Green Lawn Funeral Home North. John Jack F. Maddox, age 100, passed away Monday, July 27th at 2026. His funeral mass was held yesterday, July 30th at 10 a.m. at Holy Trinity Catholic Church, and those arrangements were handled by Gorman Scharf Funeral Home. Imogene Wilkinson, age 93, passed away July 25th, 2026. Those arrangements are being provided by Gorman Scharf Funeral Home. Those services will be held on August 6th at 10 a.m. at Gorman Scharf Funeral Home and Missouri Veterans Cemetery. Tracy Slade, age 63, of Bolivar, Missouri, passed away. Excuse me, I'm not sure they have a date here for her. Her arrangements are being handled by Green Lawn Funeral Home. There will be a memorial taking place this evening, July 31st from 6 to 8 p.m., and a celebration of life tomorrow at 2 p.m. Karen Louise Horney, aged 83, of Springfield, passed away July 25th, 2026. Those arrangements are being provided by Gorman Scharf Funeral Home. Services will be held on August 4th at 10:30 at St. John's Episcopal Church. And finally, Ms. Marilyn Huntsman, age 87. Marilyn J. Huntsman, born on January 20th, 1939 in Detroit, Michigan, passed away on July 30th, 2026 at the age of 87. In accordance with her wishes, no funeral services are being held. Her family asks that her wishes be honored as they remember her privately. Our condolences go to all of the family and friends of those mourning this week.
A cannabis dispensary drive-through extension sent to Plans and Policies Committee, an article by Jack McGee of the Springfield Daily Citizen. There is a photo of Terabis, a dispensary drive-through located in Springfield off of Kearney Street and Kellett Avenue. A proposed text amendment to Springfield's Land Development Code extending dispensary drive-through hours to 1:30 a.m. was slated for a final vote at the City Council's July 27th meeting, but was instead referred to the government body's Plans and Policy Committee. Put forward by Councilmember Craig Hosmer, the referral narrowly passed in a 5-4 vote, with Council members Jensen, Hardinger, and Carroll, and Mayor Jeff Schrag opposed. The amendment was applied for by V3 Missouri Vending 5 LLC. the operator of Terabis Dispensary, which owns a total of 9 dispensaries in Missouri and Illinois, including one Springfield store at 850 East Kearney Street. This would allow us to determine whether this should be limited, should be broadened, what the impact should be, Hosmer said. But it's sort of, I think, improper when an applicant has the ability to get a bill right in front of council without going through the committee process, when I, as an elected member of council, can't do that because my bill has to go through the committee process. There is a photo of Councilmember Craig Hosmer, as he was asked to attend the Springfield City Council meeting on June 22nd, 2026. He is sitting at a desk with his name placard in front of him, as well as a laptop with his arms out as he speaks. The application submitted by V3MO Vending 5 LLC is the last of its kind. Approved in 2025 and made effective in April 2026, the new Land Development Code does not allow members of the public to directly apply for text amendments. Because the application was submitted before the new code became effective, it was allowed to move forward. Under your current Land Development Code, an individual applicant can't get a text amendment started like this, Christopher Homan, chief litigator for the city, explained to council members. They would have to come to you and ask you to introduce it or something like that, but it's kind of a quirk of the old code. V3MO Vending 5 LLC originally applied for an amendment to allow dispensary drive-thrus to operate 24/7, but ultimately withdrew the application before it reached the Planning and Zoning Commission, and resubmitted it requesting drive-thrus be allowed to operate until 1:30 a.m., aligning with laws regulating alcohol sales. While the text amendment was requested by a company with only one dispensary in Springfield, it would apply to any dispensary with a drive-thru. Of Springfield's 9 licensed dispensaries, 6 have drive-thrus. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the revised application 5-2. City staff did not take a position on the application. Asked by Mayor Jeff Schrag why he did not think the Planning Commission's consideration and recommendations was insufficient, Hosmer said that it was not their job to create public policy, but the city council's.
And Lumi Candle Bar is returning to Walnut Street after a 3-month hiatus. Chris Meglio with the Springfield News Leader brings us this article that says Lumi Candle Bar, a former downtown Springfield-based shop that closed on April 25th, is being revived under new ownership. Devin and Jake Saylor acquired the local business from previous owner Katie Puthoff and will open its doors at 211 East Walnut Street, about 600 feet away from its prior location at 400 East Walnut Street. The target date for opening day is August 15th. A March 3rd Facebook post on Lumi Candle Bar's page announced that there was no option to renew the lease following the purchase of the building from which it operated. Another Facebook post on April 19th declared Puthoff's intentions to sell the business with the hope that it continue to grow and thrive in Springfield. Around that same time, Devin Saylor had found the Facebook post during one of her husband's rare at-home lunch breaks. The couple had talked about becoming business owners for a few years up to that point, she said, and saw a worthy opportunity to pursue that goal with Lumi. When I brought up this business to Jake, I kind of brought it up somewhat jokingly, but also a little bit serious just because we talked about it for years, and he was like, yeah, reach out. Why not just get more information? Devin said, recalling the couple's initial conversation about a possible business purchase. We're not saying yes and signing paperwork right now. Let's just, talk to Puthoff and see if it makes sense for us. He's been great in that way because I don't think I would have gone for it if he wasn't, telling me that I should. This was the first business the couple pursued despite the previous conversations. Devin, a stay-at-home mom, said she was at a place in life where she felt most ready. Her 2-year-old son was about to start preschool, and the urge to find a passion project was at its peak. Devin Saylor said she knew of Puthoff dating back to their days at Missouri State. The two were not close, but had several mutual friends. Regardless, she and Jake were very surprised to be chosen because they had no prior experience at the helm of business operations. I just truly feel like God was just, set all those tiny things into motion at the same time, Devin said. With the emails and the phone calls, every time that we talked with Pothoff, it just felt like doors were opening and green lights were turning on and all the things. The move-in process at the new location was accelerated due to the urgency to clear out Lumi's old venue. Devin said there wasn't any time to hunt for potential spots outside of its soon-to-be new Walnut Street space, though it's ideal given the liveliness and foot traffic in the area. With this new opportunity, the Sailors want to keep the Candle Bar the same as it was before, with the inclusion of additional events to strengthen community bonding. But above all else, Devin is looking forward to directing her energy into a new venture. I'm just at a spot where I've done the stay-at-home mom thing. That's always going to be my number one, Devin said. He's always going to be my priority. But also, I get to find things that I enjoy. I get to branch out and do the things that spark joy in me, and so this is like a way to do that. I love that we have a team working with us to allow me to step back if needed or be as all in and hands-on as I want to be. That's kind of the sweet spot. That's kind of how I imagined it. What I wanted was the ability to feel comfortable that my store was taken care of if I can't be there. I just hope and pray that's how it is for years to come.
Missouri Treasurer's Office downplayed student data leak to families. An article by Annalise Hanshaw of the Missouri Independent and Springfield News Leader. The key points of this article are that the Missouri State Treasurer's Office unintentionally exposed the personal data of students receiving private school vouchers. Emails show the office initially drafted a statement blaming its software contractor, ClassWallet, for the data leak. The contractor stated its responsibility ends once data is exported, and the file's properties suggest it was handled by a Treasurer's Office employee. Newly released emails show that when the Missouri State Treasurer's Office learned in April that spreadsheets on its website unintentionally exposed names of students receiving private school vouchers, it downplayed the leak to families and drafted a statement blaming its software contractor. That provider says that it is not where the problem started, and the file itself carries markers suggesting it passed through a Treasurer's Office employee's computer before it was published. The data, students' names, parents' email addresses, the schools and vendors paid through the program, and each scholarship amount sat on the Treasurer's website in downloadable spreadsheets for months. These reports are required by a 2024 state law that mandates certain demographic information about most scholars participants be published each year, while ensuring no personally identifiable information of any student is disclosed. There is a picture of Missouri State Treasurer Vivek Malik. He is pictured testifying in a Missouri Senate committee hearing in January 2024, where he shared concerns about edtech company ClassWallet. When his office learned that a public report contained most scholar student information, staff shifted blame towards a software provider in his statements sent to educational assistance organizations. One file presented the required figures in a table built with Microsoft Excel's pivot table function. The underlying records were reachable from the table in a few clicks. The Treasurer's Office said in its statement that the vulnerability was fully resolved immediately upon notification. It took several days to get the file pulled from the Internet Archive sites. Emails obtained by the Independent under the Missouri Sunshine Law show the office sent the 7 educational assistance organizations that administer most scholars a draft statement on April 20th, 2 business days after being told about the leak. Those organizations are families' main point of contact with the program. Recently, the contracted application and fiscal management platform confirmed that the underlying data set generated from publication could potentially be manipulated to view unpublished information, the statement began. The Independent alerted the Treasurer's Office the morning of April 16th, minutes before the organization's monthly meeting, and published a story April 21st that did not reveal the specific route to find this information. At the time of the data leak, the Treasurer's Office used a company called ClassWallet to facilitate payments and track student enrollment with ClassWallet's partner, Fax Management. ClassWallet is the largest software provider in the school choice space, with contracts with the nation's largest voucher programs like Florida and Arizona. The company has drawn scrutiny before, most notably in Arizona, where a permissions error let a parent view payment requests of other users, prompting an investigation by the Arizona Department of Homeland Security. Last year, State Treasurer Vivek Malik talked about letting ClassWallet's contract expire, which eventually happened last month after a competitive bidding process. But Missouri's leak was not inside ClassWallet's interface. It was on the Treasurer's own website. The file downloaded from the Treasurer's website gives the name of the data source, a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet called Most Scholars Distro Amounts, with a sheet labeled All-Time Raw Data. The path also points to the account of Trent Blair, the Treasurer's Director of Programs. The office, which has said little publicly, has not said whether it created the document. Asked about the data in April, Malik's chief of staff, Jackson Bailey, said, "The spreadsheet was compiled by the third-party application and fiscal management platform that houses and maintains the data and is contractually obligated to provide expenditure information for publication." ClassWallet spokesperson Jason Hart said the platform provides complete, unredacted exports of the data to the client for use at their discretion. How that data is then handled, shared, or reflected in any public-facing report, he added, is a determination made solely by the client. Nothing in the contract requires that the downloadable reports be ready for public posting, Hart said. That contract, signed in 2022, prior to the law requiring certain annual reports, has two parts: the request for proposals from the state and ClassWallet's offer. ClassWallet's response characterizes the data's purpose as compliance monitoring and preparing for the audit. The request for proposals has few requirements for the data, though it notes that confidential information should be encrypted. "We have a number of privacy measures in place designed to protect student information within the platform," Hart said. However, once data is exported and submitted to the Treasurer's office, it falls outside of the scope of our contract. In April, the office entered a contract with edtech company Odyssey after a bidding process led by the Missouri Office of Administration. The bidding process this time around included additional requirements for the software provider, saying it should allow the Most Scholars program administrators to create ad hoc reports and provide customizable dashboards and reports, including data updates. The contractor shall use safeguards designed to prevent the inappropriate use or disclosure of the state's proprietary or confidential information, the office request says. The contract's definition of state data includes personally identifiable information, which it says is any information that identifies an individual, such as an individual's social security number or other government-issued identification number, date of birth, address, telephone number, biometric data, mother's maiden name, email address, credit card information, or an individual's name in combination with any of the elements listed herein. The office now publishes the report as PDFs, as most states with similar programs do. The statement the organizations were asked to pass along to parents describes the exposure as limited to directory information, which it said United States Department of Education guidance acknowledges is not generally considered harmful or an invasion of privacy if disclosed. The records went further than that. They paired students' names with parents' email addresses, and the scholarships amounts carried something more. Students with an individualized education plan qualify for 160% of the base award, so the figure indicates which children have disabilities. Under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, schools are allowed to provide student directory information, but there's a requirement that schools give notice about what is considered directory information and allow parents to opt out. This story was first published at MissouriIndependent.com.
And we want to thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. The Blind Community Thrift Store is a spacious 17,000 square foot thrift store located in Springfield, Missouri. It holds the distinction of being the first retail store worldwide to incorporate NaviLens technology, which significantly enhances accessibility for the blind, visually impaired, and non-English speaking individuals. This innovative system enables customers to navigate and shop with minimal assistance, fostering independence and confidence. The store operates as a nonprofit organization dedicated to generating funds that support the provision of adaptive technology and training for the blind and visually impaired community, often at little to no cost. Visitors can learn more about the organization and access its services by visiting the store in person at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri, or by exploring the website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The website offers comprehensive information about the store's mission, services, and opportunities for community involvement, as well as details about the free store available to residents in the Springfield area. And free business boot camp is to help Missouri entrepreneurs launch ventures. Janice Reeser with the Springfield News Leader says Missouri entrepreneurs seeking to launch or grow a business will have an opportunity this fall to receive free training, coaching, and business planning support through an early-stage business boot camp offered by Show Me Network. The 4-week program begins September 28th and is open to aspiring business owners and entrepreneurs in the early stages of building a company, according to a community announcement. Developed by the Missouri Small Business Development Center at Missouri State University, part of eFactory, the boot camp is designed to introduce participants to business resources, connect them with experts and fellow entrepreneurs, and provide instruction on core business topics. Participants also will learn how to access ongoing one-on-one coaching and mentoring. Organizers said in the announcement that attendees should complete the program with a growth plan and financial budget. Starting a business can feel overwhelming when you're doing it alone. Nikki Donaldson, Director of Marketing and Communications for Missouri State's eFactory, said in the announcement. This boot camp condenses the knowledge entrepreneurs need into a focused 4-week series, then connects participants to what they need to succeed. The series is intended for people considering entrepreneurship as well as those who have already started a business. Supported by the U.S. Bank Foundation, the program will meet from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. September 28th through October 22nd at Missouri State University's eFactory, which is located at 405 North Jefferson Avenue here in Springfield. Guest speakers and entrepreneurs will share experiences and insights covering multiple stages of the business life cycle, according to the announcement. Show Me Network programming is funded through the Federal State Small Business Credit Initiative Technical Assistance Program, administered in Missouri by the Missouri Department of Economic Development. According to the announcement, the initiative helps startups and small businesses become investment ready and better positioned to access available capital programs. More information about Show Me Network is available at showmenetwork.org. Information about the Missouri Small Business Development Center is available at efactory.missourystate.edu/SBDC, and details about eFactory can be found at efactory.missourystate.edu. Registration is free and open to the public through hub.catalyzerapp.com. That's CATALYZERAPP.com.
Stewart Farms Co-op Supper Clubs, Farm to Table Nights. An article by Tessa Cooper and Katie Pollock Estes of 417 News. There is a photo of a young girl eating corn on the cob with what looks like a hot dog on her plate, as well as some more grilled corn, with her parents sitting next to her. They appear to be seated at an outdoor sheltered venue with a grill in the background. With a couple of foodies as her parents, it should surprise no one that my daughter Florence's first time visiting a farm when she was a baby wasn't just to see some animals. It was for an organic meal of pasture-raised chicken risotto with farm-fresh shiitake mushrooms and homegrown asparagus, all paired with a strawberry arugula salad topped with ricotta. But she was in great company. We were at Stewart Farms Co-op's first supper club of the season, and there were kids of all ages joining their family for a meal made with the freshest ingredients the Ozarks has to offer. When we first arrived, Dustin Stewart, who co-owns the farm with his wife Lacey Stewart, greeted us, and we had the chance to catch up a bit. It was like no time had passed since the last supper club we attended before Florence was born. Once a month, May through September, Stewart Farms Co-op hosts its supper club. This affordable, family-friendly event offers a casual yet delicious farm-to-table dinner, complete with live music, fresh air, and plenty of room for the kids to roam. Lacey was hard at work grilling the chicken and asparagus as one of her daughters in a bright red dress stared up at her in admiration. With the soft clouds in the sky and green trees in the background, the scene would have made a beautiful painting. Live music and great conversations kept us adults occupied while we waited a few minutes for dinner, and the kids had no trouble entertaining themselves on the open patch of grass. Once everything was ready, we all lined up, and Lacey loaded our plates with food made from ingredients grown on-site and at local farms. They had slices of strawberry chocolate mousse cake available to buy, and saying yes to this homemade dessert proved to be a wise decision. We enjoyed our warm risotto on the row of tables. One thing I love about community table seating is that it encourages you to converse with other attendees. On this occasion, we were sitting by Zach and Jen Fortner, who own Pineapple Whip, and there wasn't a lone conversation the entire night. We attended this event alongside a few of our parent friends, one whose son was old enough to play in the field with the other kids. At one point, he and his pals found a frog and carefully but gleefully brought it up to us to look at. This was one of those moments where I knew I was watching one of those core childhood memories form, and it was wonderful to be a witness to it. As the sun was setting, we decided to take the self-guided farm tour to show Florence the cows and pigs, and she gazed at them in amazement. There's just something about watching kids interact with nature that reminds you to stop and appreciate the wonder of it all. Buy tickets for the next supper club at stewartfarmcoop.com. The final picture is rows of communal seating, and everyone is eating. There appears to be flowers on the table. It's a nicely sheltered venue with a concrete pad underneath, and there is a woman playing guitar in the background.
And Springfield City Utilities celebrates the completion of a battery energy storage system. Marta Mees with the Springfield News Leader says Springfield's electrical grid is a step closer to becoming more reliable during periods of high demand. City Utilities celebrated the completion of a zinc battery energy storage system, or BESS, project along US 65 on Wednesday, July 29th that will expand the utility's capacity. The system will store electricity during times of low demand, typically overnight when electricity is cheaper, and will provide power during peak hours, usually between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. in the summer, according to a CU news release. The BESS near CU's Blackman Water Treatment Plant will add 5 megawatts of capacity to CU's system and will be able to dispatch power for up to 6 hours. Following is a photo of a ribbon-cutting ceremony here going on as city utility leaders cut the ribbon on the new battery energy storage system near Blackman Water Treatment Plant back on this Wednesday, July 29th. It looks like there were 6 people in attendance here, and we have a podium with a microphone. Looks like they were probably given a little bit of a press conference before this ribbon cutting. The storage system consists of zinc-based batteries that are non-flammable, fully recyclable, and made in the United States. According to CU, these batteries are designed to last longer than traditional lithium-ion technology and are considered among the safest forms of grid-scale energy storage available. The battery system is now moving into final commissioning and testing, according to the release. It is expected to be fully operational in August. The Blackman project represents just a portion of CU's larger effort to add more capacity to meet new requirements set by the Southwest Power Pool, a regional transmission organization mandated by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Because of increasing electrical demand, aging infrastructure, and extreme weather, the Planning Reserve Margin, or PRM, the utility is required to meet has increased. That has required CU to invest more than $280 million, according to previous news leader reporting. In addition to this battery storage system, CU is constructing a second, larger battery system near the former James River Power Station. This second battery system will add 31 megawatts of capacity and is expected to come online later this year. CU, in its efforts to add to its generation capacity, is also installing 3 new natural gas combustion turbines at the McCartney Generating Station in northeast Springfield. In total, these initiatives will add 186 megawatts of new generation capacity, which amounts to an 18% increase for CU locally. As the utility invests in these new power supply resources, CU customers will see an electric rate increase starting next year and phased in over 2 years. According to previous news leader reporting, the average residential customer will see a 3% average increase in 2027 and an additional 3% average increase in 2028. These additional funds will be used to pay for lease financing for the infrastructure updates. And we have another photo here at the end of the article as City Utilities showcases the new zinc battery energy storage system during their ribbon cutting event on Wednesday. We have a gentleman in some jeans and a button-up shirt and a baseball cap demonstrating what's inside of these storage facilities here. He's got they're white storage facilities that look kind of like a storage car, and they've got the doors open here. You can see inside there are definitely some fans running to keep those batteries cool, and inside you see just row after row of battery.
Springfield businessman pleads guilty to wire fraud and timeshare exit scheme. An article by Jack McGee of the Springfield Daily Citizen. Brian Scroggs, 54, pleaded guilty before U.S. Magistrate Judge David P. Rush to 1 count of wire fraud and 1 count of failure to pay employment taxes on July 28th. There is a photo of the office of the Springfield Southern Division U.S. District Court with a sign that says United States Courthouse. A Springfield man on Tuesday, July 28th, pleaded guilty in federal court for crimes pertaining to his operation and ownership of several timeshare exit businesses. Brian Scroggs, 54, pleaded guilty before U.S. Magistrate Judge David P. Rush to 1 count of wire fraud and 1 count of failure to pay employment taxes. According to a press release from the United States Attorney Office, Western District of Missouri. Scroggs took money from clients while promising to get them out of their timeshares, providing them a full refund or assume financial responsibility of their timeshare, according to the release. Scroggs failed to fulfill these promises despite being paid considerable amounts of money, the press release states. Scroggs owned several timeshare exit businesses, including Vacation Consulting Services, LLC, The Transfer Group, VCS Communication, LLC, and Real Travel, LLC, according to the release. The business owner also failed to pay employment taxes to the Internal Revenue Services and the state of Missouri, including those he was collecting from each employee and any matching obligations he was required to pay as owner, according to the release. Following a pre-sentence investigation by the United States Probation Office, a sentencing hearing will be scheduled according to the release.
And we are poking around. A dealer stashes fentanyl in a Lucky Charms box and his girlfriend throws it in the trash. Steve Pokin brings us this story with Springfield Daily Citizen that begins with a photo of a grocery store shelf with boxes of Lucky Charms. I think I'm free to call Cameron L. Hawthorne, age 37, a drug dealer, since he was convicted in a Springfield federal court in June of being one, and also being a felon in possession of a handgun. A federal judge sentenced him to 20 years in prison. I don't normally ponder affairs of the heart in criminal matters, but in this case, I have to wonder if Hawthorne has sustained his relationship with, quote, LJ. According to federal court documents, those are the initials of his girlfriend. At least she was his girlfriend on March 28, 2022. It's not just the drugs and the 20-year sentence that, in my view, might be obstacles to the continuing relationship. It's the Lucky Charms cereal box. So where would I hide drugs? In the oldest and smelliest pair of running shoes I have. Following is a photo of a building here that says Battlefield Park. It's got a stone facade and as well as a mixed stone and brick facade. And it looks like it's a Springfield apartment complex. Not that I've ever been a drug dealer, but I suppose it can be difficult to find new and creative places to hide illegal drugs. In Hawthorne's case, the drug was the highly addictive fentanyl. Also, if you're a drug dealer and you're hiding drugs in your home, who else do you tell? Do you tell the kids? Your significant other? But the moment you tell others, do you make them a part of the drug conspiracy in the eyes of the law? Honey, don't open my vitamin C bottle because that's where the cocaine is. Try to remember C is for cocaine. Actually, I'd hide them in the oldest pair of running shoes I have because they're likely to be the smelliest. That should throw off, if not kill, the police canine sniffing for my stash. Following is a photo of Cameron Hawthorne. It's a Greene County Jail booking photo. He is an African-American man standing against a gray cinder block wall in a white ribbed tank top. And he honestly looks like he might be under the influence of some substances himself. It seems to me that Hawthorne never really thought all this through. He stashed his fentanyl in a Lucky Charms cereal box, according to court documents, and his girlfriend, LJ, threw the box in the trash. Court documents state there was a, quote, half a brick of drugs worth about $50,000 in the Lucky Charms cereal box. I imagine the fact that his girlfriend threw away $50,000 in drugs upset Hawthorne. I don't know what his exact words to her over the phone were, but the federal government does. Agents with the Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA, had an approved wiretap on Hawthorne's phone. Unfortunately, I will never know exactly what Hawthorne said to his girlfriend, as the DEA did not disclose that in the court documents. But what the DEA did do was rush to the trash service company that collected Hawthorne's garbage to go through it in hopes of retrieving the Lucky Charms box as evidence, according to court documents. The agents found the discarded box of cereal, and inside was 189 grams of fentanyl. That discovery played a big role in Hawthorne eventually being charged with conspiring with others to distribute 40 grams or more of a mixture or substance containing a detectable amount of fentanyl. In June 2026, a federal judge sentenced him to 20 years in prison. Hawthorne didn't help his case when he was arrested. According to court documents, he was approached by law enforcement officers at a storage locker on South Campbell Avenue. He decided to run. As Hawthorne ran south, SPD officers observed Hawthorne remove an item from his waistband and throw it on top of the building located at South Campbell Avenue. That item was a gun, which felons like Hawthorne are prohibited from possessing. The gun violation accounts for 5 years of Hawthorne's 20-year sentence. Hawthorne's main accomplice, or conspirator in court parlance, was Omar C. Varona. Both men originally are from Muskegon, Michigan, according to court documents. Varona, age 31, entered a negotiated plea of guilty and on Monday, July 27th, was sentenced to 5 years in prison. I was unable to obtain a jail mugshot of Varona. I attended Varona's sentencing hearing only because I thought there might be a possibility of further mention of the Lucky Charms cereal box. There was not. I was the only reporter present. This was, after all, a rather run-of-the-mill drug case in the grand scheme of drug cases. My presence caught the eye of U.S. District Judge Stephen R. Bow, who, to my surprise, invited me back to his chambers for a quick chat. Bow was politely curious as to why I was in the courtroom, thinking perhaps that I was waiting for a different, more newsworthy case later in the day. I explained to him no, I wasn't. I was there for the Lucky Charms. This is Poking Around column number 366.
Temporary Springfield Center offers government disaster recovery loans by Joe Hadsel of the Springfield Daily Citizen. Low-interest, fixed-rate loans are available to people who receive storm damage during April's hailstorm. There is a photo of very large hailstones lying in the grass near Kansas Expressway and Kearney Street on April 28th, 2026. They appear to be at minimum size, golf ball sized hail. There are large ominous storm clouds in the distance that are very dark and dreary. Property owners struggling to repair damage from April storms can apply for loans from the federal government to make those repairs. The U.S. Small Business Administration has set up a temporary disaster loan outreach center in Springfield. The center, located in the Greene County Public Safety Center at 330 West Scott Street, is open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the next few weeks, according to a press release. The center offers low-interest loans to homeowners, renters, businesses, and nonprofits that meet eligibility standards. The money is intended to help pay for repairs and rebuilding projects that are not covered by insurance. It is part of a federal disaster declaration in response to storms across Greene County between April 23rd and 28th, the largest of which was a destructive hailstorm that pummeled northern Springfield and Republic on April 28th. Record-setting hailstones, some as large as a compact disc, battered car windshields, roofs, and more, causing millions of dollars in damage. It swept across the Springfield-Branson National Airport, wrecking dozens of cars. It led to widespread power outages and other emergencies. Cassandra Jones, a public affairs specialist with the SBA, said that the department is the largest source of federal disaster recovery funds for recuperating losses. The disaster loan program can be a lifeline for those impacted by disasters. We provide low-interest, affordable loans to help cover costs of repairs and rebuilding that insurance and other resources do not cover. At the center, people can access customer service representatives directly for loan information, get assistance with filling out applications, and more. 3 types of loans are available. 1. Home disaster loans for repairing real estate and personal property, such as automobiles. 2. Business physical disaster loans for repairing or replacing business-owned property. Nonprofits such as charities, churches, and private universities are also eligible for these. 3. Economic injury disaster loans to help businesses, ag co-ops, and other private nonprofit groups to meet financial obligations that cannot be met because of the disaster. There is an image from the for disaster recovery from the SBA. Says the disaster loan applicant roadmap, and it is an image of a road with little stopping points along the way. The first step is to submit an application, which is how you apply online at a disaster recovery center. Following that is an eligibility review. You may be asked to provide additional documents or information. The next step is loan decision. If approved, SBA will send you 1 or more loan offers, and you have 21 days to choose an offer. The next step is loan closing. SBA prepares loan documents for you to sign. And then finally, you can receive funding based on loan terms and conditions. However, if information is missing, you or SBA may initiate a withdrawal. You have 6 months to request reconsideration at that time. For more information on this image and these steps, you can go to sba.gov/disaster. Eligibility is determined by an applicant's credit history and repayment ability. Interest rates may be lower if an applicant has no available credit elsewhere. According to information from the SBA, rates can be as low as 2.875% for homeowners, 3.625% for nonprofits, and 4% for businesses. Physical disaster loans are available for Greene County residents until September 14th. Economic injury loans are also available to people in contiguous counties until April 15th, 2027. Jones said that people don't need to wait for insurance resolutions to apply for the loans. There is no application fee and no obligation to accept the loan if approved. More information can be found on the SBA's website. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra announces American Icons Season. The 2026 through 2027 season features heavy hitters from American music. A separate show, not part of the season, shares the songs and stories of Dolly Parton. An article by Jeff Kessinger of the Springfield Daily Citizen. There is a picture of Kyle Wiley Pickett leading the symphony orchestra. He is conducting the music and standing on a small platform, while violinists, cello players, flute players, as well as other classically trained musicians sit in formal attire playing music. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra's 2026 to 2027 season is aptly titled American Icons, featuring works by heavy hitters like Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland, George Gershwin, and W.C. Handy. Separately, SSO is preparing for a highly anticipated special event that will include music from, but unfortunately not an appearance by, singer, songwriter, actor, businessperson, and philanthropist Dolly Parton. American Icons also honors Tony Bennett, Bobby Darin, and Frank Sinatra. Renewals are underway now for previous season ticket subscribers. New season ticket requests opened to the public on July 15th. For more information, visit the Springfield Symphony Orchestra website or call Juanita K. Hammonds Hall of the Performing Arts at 417-836-7678. Here's a look at every show in the Springfield Symphony Orchestra's upcoming season, as well as its special event in October. The Big Apple is set for September 12th at 7:30 p.m. The season begins with music from New York by New Yorkers. Gershwin, Bernstein, and Copland create some of the most quintessentially American music of the 20th century from their apartments in the big city. They captured not only the sounds of New York City, but the American West and beyond. The concert will also include a performance of Kansas-based composer Alyssa Morris's Tilapia Tiluia, an orchestral retelling of the Aztec myth depicting how the world received its color and light, featuring the principal woodwinds of the SSO. Route 66, an American road trip, will debut November 14th at 7:30 p.m. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra invites concert goers on a great American road trip in November, with music depicting the most iconic sites across the nation. The repertoire features new and old pieces as well as a special guest. Double bassist Xavier Foley comes to Springfield to perform Soul Bass Concerto, a jazzy soul-inspired concerto for bass and orchestra. A Hollywood Christmas is on December 19th at 7:30 p.m. The symphony will set the mood for the holiday season with music made famous by Hollywood's biggest feature films. The repertoire will feature jazzy tunes from It's Christmas, Charlie Brown to Irving Berlin's White Christmas and modern favorites like the Elf soundtrack. There's also a medley of Disney smash hit Frozen. The evening ends with a Springfield Symphony Orchestra tradition, the annual sing-along. There is a picture of the orchestra performing a Christmas event. There are individuals playing the classical instruments as part of the orchestra wearing Santa hats and little reindeer hats. There is a large wreath in the background and Christmas colors, as well as a choir singing along and Christmas lights decorating the stage. Over its 90-year history, the Springfield Symphony has prepared exciting musical programs and hosted unforgettable collaborations each holiday season to spread the cheer. This picture is a scene from the 2023 holiday performance. Another event is Ravel, a theatrical concert on January 16th at 7:30 p.m. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra's January concert is a comic and poignant theatrical concert created by Alice Wiley Pickett, featuring a cast of actors, chamber musicians, piano, and orchestra. It brings French composer Maurice Ravel and his contemporaries Claude Debussy and George Gershwin to life on stage. Ravel lived during the rich explosion of arts and sciences in Paris in the first part of the 20th century. This theatrical concert explores the travails and triumphs of Ravel's rise to fame as one of France's most important composers. It is built on Ravel's own writings and the words of both his beloved friends and harshest critics. An American Hymn is on February 13th at 7:30 p.m. An American Hymn brings sacred music to Hammond's Hall in an evening of religious works by great American composers, including Bernstein's moving setting of Psalms and his choral masterpiece, I'm not sure quite how to pronounce that word, Chichurist Psalms, Copland's Appalachian Spring, and Jesse Montgomery's Starburst are also featured. From the New World, is on March 6th at 7:30 p.m. Czech composer Anton Dvorak came to the United States to lead the Music National Conservatory of Music in New York and to discover American music. He urged American composers to take inspiration from African American music and from the New World. His most popular symphony did just that. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra will also perform Adolphus Hailstork's 3 Spirituals for Orchestra at its March concert, along with a special performance from the Hellman International Young Artist Competition winner. On April 10th, Simply Swingin' Great American Crooners will be performed at 7:30 p.m. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra promises an unforgettable night of the best American crooners and the songs that they made famous in April. They'll be joined by singing sensation Steve Lipia, who has mastered the story songbook of America's favorite singers, from Frank Sinatra to Bobby Darin to Toby Bennett. On May 1st, Swan Lake with the St. Louis Ballet will be performed at 7:30 p.m. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra continues its collaboration with the St. Louis Ballet with a return performance of Tchaikovsky's beloved Swan Lake. The St. Louis Ballet is under the direction of Jen Horiachi, who created this staging of the love story about Prince Siegfried and the beautiful Swan Queen. On October 10th, there will be a special event, Dolly Parton's Threads, My Song and Symphony, at 7:30 p.m. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra is also offering a special multimedia concert event, separate from the American Icon season, in October. Tickets for Dolly Parton's Threads, My Songs and Symphony are on sale now. This innovative multimedia experience features Parton on screen, leading audiences in a visual musical journey of her songs, her life, and her stories. The concert features hit songs including Jolene, Coat of Many Colors, and I Will Always Love You, in addition to Parton's personal favorites and a selection from her upcoming Broadway production. The evening also includes guest violinists, musicians, and innovative orchestrations by David Hamilton. Ozark considers new rules for regulating future data center development. An article by Zoe McIntern of the Springfield Daily Citizen. There is a photo outside of Ozark City Hall. It's a picture of the building with a sign that says City Hall, as well as the logo of the city of Ozark, Missouri, which is a red circle with a bridge across it with a river running under it. The city of Ozark is considering an update to its code that would regulate the development of data centers in the future. Community Development Director Randall Whitman said the proposal is a proactive effort by the city and that Ozark has not received any applications from developers seeking to build data centers. There's been no threat of anybody wanting to put one of these, large or small, in the city, Whitman said at a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on July 27th. The proposed code update would define 3 types of data centers, ranging in scale from small server closets to large load data centers exceeding 10,000 square feet, or about 0.23 acres. Permits would require developers to comply with defined standards for land use, water use, noise, and vibration. This ordinance, the draft, is going to put the city in a better position to protect ourselves and be able to regulate where and when and how these things go in. So this is a good thing, said Jeff Garrison, chair of the Planning Commission. He pointed out that the city of Springfield in June adopted a moratorium on new data centers after being approached by a developer who was interested in building one. Webster County adopted a moratorium after a developer broke ground on a small-scale data center near Marshfield. Ozark's Planning Commission is expected to take action on the proposal at its scheduled meeting on August 24th. The proposal will then be referred to the Board of Aldermen for a public hearing and future vote. The code update proposed by city staff would define an accessory data center as a facility contained within a principal building that is ancillary to the primary use of that property, accompanying no more than 20% of the building footprint, such as a server closet on the site of a school or business. Micro data center facilities would be over 20% of the primary building's footprint, not to exceed 10,000 gross square feet, and utilizing less than 5 megawatts of electricity. Large load data centers would exceed 10,000 gross square feet and use more than 5 megawatts. Under the proposed code, accessory use data centers would be allowed within commercial, mixed use, office warehouse, or industrial land uses. Micro and large load data centers would be allowed only on properties zoned for industrial use and with a conditional use permit. To apply for a conditional use permit, a developer would need to specify the community benefits offered by a proposed project and submit an environmental impact report and economic impact report. The proposed code also specifies regulations on noise pollution, water use, power, and land use. Water-intensive, open-loop, and once-through cooling systems would be prohibited, for instance. Whitman suggested on July 27th that the regulations could deter developers from seeking to build data centers in Ozark. He noted that Ozark does not have an electric utility, which would force developers to coordinate with another provider. I will say as a caveat, I believe that if I was in the business of doing this, I'm probably going to go to a city that has nothing on the books and has nothing in process, Whitman said. There's a lot of communities that want these, and that's probably where they're going to go. Make the most of summer's end with these Ozark events in August. An article by Susan Zuch of Springfield News Leader. It's that time of year. Kids are trying to soak up the last dregs of summer, and parents are counting the days until school starts back up. If that's not keeping you busy enough, here are more than 24 events in the Ozarks this August. Kids can get care at Jordan Valley Health's event in Springfield on August 1st. Jordan Valley Health Clinic at 1720 West Grand Street, Springfield. Kids can get their back-to-school well check, sports physical, dental screening, immunization, vision screening, all in one place during Jordan Valley Health's Start Strong Back-to-School event from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Kids can come and get all their health care they need before school starts up. Deadline to pre-register online at jordanvalley.org back-to-school event is July 30th. On August 1st, you can watch Wicked at a drive-in movie in Marshfield at Dr. Tommy McDonald's Aquatic Center at 1490 North Elm Street in Marshfield. If you've ever wanted to enjoy a dip in the pool while you watch a movie, you're in luck. Marshfield Parks and Recreation is showing Wicked at the Aquatic Center starting at dusk. Admissions is $5 per person and free for season pass holders. Guests should be able to bring their own personal flotation devices and concessions will be provided. Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading services. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kHz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.